Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're looking at the new cards for the next expansion in Hearthstone, the Boomsday project. So to see them, you click on My Collection, you go into crafting mode, go ahead and click Include Uncraftable Cards, and then select over here the Boomsday project. If you weren't in crafting mode, you wouldn't be able to select the Boomsday project. So keep that in mind. Last time we looked at the Mage, and while the new cards for Mage are perfectly fine, they don't seem amazingly good or amazingly bad, there still is a major problem with playing against Mage because of Archmage Antonidas and Sorcerer Apprentices working in synergy so well that you can win the game in one turn, which never feels like a fun and fair way to play the game. Today we're going to be looking at the Paladin cards. I suppose it's worth also mentioning that when the new expansion comes out, I plan to live stream opening at least 150 new packs. No guarantee that it will be 150 packs of the new expansion though, particularly on my Asian and European accounts, which is weird that they break you up between those accounts. There's also a China account that only people in China can reach, so that kind of makes sense, but the other accounts could easily have been merged into one a long time ago. But particularly for those accounts, having just classic cards that won't get moved into Wild after a few years, is a better way to go. And generally speaking, those cards are better than random new expansions, but these cards do look good. Let's start looking. First card we have is a 1-mana spell called the Auto Defense Matrix. It's a secret. When one of your minions is attacked, give it Divine Shield. I can already think of a Paladin creature that gains attack when another minion loses a shield, a Divine Shield, so there's already a synergy there that works pretty well. I'm not sure if there's a daily quest to play Divine Shield minions. If there is, it doesn't pop up very often. But playing Divine Shield minions certainly can be useful as a Paladin. Although right now I'm mostly playing a Paladin Murloc deck. Next we have a 1-mana, 1 attack, 3 health mech that just has magnetic. It's called the Glowtron. So this probably solves the question about whether your attack and health gets added to a magnetic creature that merges with a mech to the right of it on the board. That's how you play magnetic cards. If you play them to the left of a mech, of a second mech, they will merge together and gain the abilities and the attack and health. If you played it to the right of that mech, it would just be 2 separate minions, as usual. But the fact that this is only magnetic with nothing else on it tells me that attack and health also merge. So it's a little bit of a boost, and it certainly gives you options. Play this on the first turn, or you play it later. Frankly, if you had 2 of these in the first 2 turns, you could play one and then merge another copy onto itself. Next we have a 2-mana, 1 attack, 2 health legendary minion called the Crystal Smith Kangor. It has Divine Shield and Lifesteal, and your healing is doubled. There's a handful of healing spells and different ways to heal yourself as a Paladin. It's not specifically as high as like the Priest, which is all around the idea of healing. You might have to be a little careful playing this because it's not got a lot of attack or health, but if you played this, say, late into the game when you're at 8th or 9th turn, and you've got another spell that heals the hero by 5, and you double that and heal by 10, that would be very useful. Also, if you can buff this character and keep him alive for a couple turns, he has lifesteal, So whenever this guy attacks, he would then double his own amount of attack. So he does 1 damage by default. That means you would get 2 healing points after he does that 1 damage. If you buffed him up to like a 5, then it would be doubled to a 10. So clearly you want to buff that character. And buffing characters as a paladin makes a lot of sense. Next we have a 2-mana spell called Crystallology. Draw 2 1-attack minions from your deck. I could certainly see playing this as the Murloc Paladin. Although, frankly, the current Murloc Paladin deck is so finely tuned that this may not be a good enough card to replace something better. But yeah, Silver Hand Recruits don't generally exist in your deck, so this doesn't work for that, but it would also work for a couple of 1-attack Divine Shield minions if you build your deck specifically that way. There aren't a ton of very specific 1-attack minions that you would try to draw out of your deck, but there's a few. Next we have a 4-mana, 2-attack, 4-health mech called the Annoya module. There was a mech called the Annoyatron that had actually a rather annoying sound when it was played from Goblins vs. Gnomes. So I imagine this is the updated version of that. It has magnetic, which the Annoyatron certainly didn't have, and Divine Shield and Taunt, and I believe the Annoyatron did have Divine Shield and Taunt. So this is almost a direct just replacement of a previous card. And we haven't really seen that so blatantly done. Usually they change the name, they change what class it is in, or change something so it's not so obvious. But yeah, in this case they just kind of blatantly are replacing the Annoyatron. Next we have a 4-mana spell called Prismatic Lens. Draw a minion and a spell from your deck, swap their cost. So here's a thought. You play this on the 4th turn and you have 1 spell in your deck, only 1, and that spell is, let's say, a 10-mana card, 10-mana spell, and then you have a deck full of 1 or 2 mana Murlocs. You could then play that spell for at most 2 mana instead of 10, and that would make this a pretty good 6th turn move, or 4th or 5th turn move, 4th and 5th turn move. So yeah, there's definitely a strategy here, but you're really gonna have to be very, very tight on your build as a paladin. You could only have like 1 specific spell. Next we have a 5-mana, 0-attack, 5-health mech called the Mechano Egg. It has Death Rattle, summon an 8/8, 8-attack, 8-health Robosaur. I bet the Robosaur is just a beast, or maybe it's a mech, but I bet it doesn't have charge or rush or taunt or divine shield or anything on it. We've seen egg creatures like this, but we haven't seen a 5-mana egg before. Let's see. Yeah, this seems like this would be quite the risk. Of course, you could play some magnetics on it and give it some more health and more attack, but generally speaking, you kind of want it to die. So there might be a spell that destroys something with an attack of less than a certain amount. There might be a spell. There are cards that will swap your attack and health, so if you played this and then swapped it, it would be a 5-attack, 0 health and immediately die. Here we have the Shrink Ray, 5-mana spell. Set the attack and health of all minions to 1. I believe there's already been spells that set the attack of all minions to 1, and already been spells that set the health of all minions to 1. Maybe they're not in the Paladin set, so maybe this is an interesting combination. Otherwise, this feels like almost a merging of 2 cards, in the same way that the Annoying module feels like a replacement of one previous card. Let's see. Next we have a 6 mana, 3 attack, 4 health creature called the Glowstone Technician. It has a battle cry to give all minions in your hand +2/+2. Buffing minions, certainly something you'd want to do. If you're playing a Murloc deck, that's rather helpful. If you're playing anything, it's rather helpful. And then we have a 7 mana legendary spell called Kangor's Endless Army. Resurrect 3 friendly mechs. They keep any magnetic upgrades. Which that's kind of weird, because then they don't keep other things. Generally speaking, you would assume if you're resurrecting friendly characters, they would have all the buffs and things they had before, but I guess Hearthstone and Blizzard are dancing around that idea, and they haven't quite decided how they want things to work. So with the standard set of cards, do these cards really synergize too much? I'm not saying anything amazingly different. We've still got the same old Divine Shield spells and weapons and Noble Sacrifice, which everybody plays that. Here's a spell to set a minion's attack to 1. Just 1 minions. Cast 6 spells on your minions. Certainly that will synergize with more buff cards. Here's a 1 attack, 1 cost minion with Taunt and Divine Shield. That would work. Change the health of all minions to 1. So that's that card. Change the attack and health of all minions to 3, which could actually be helpful for a lot of your minions. Only your 1 ones. The Sound the Bells is a pretty good card, or at least it has been since it's been introduced. I don't think it's going to change. Blessings of the Kings, probably lesser used these days because it's just a little too expensive. Do 2 damage to all enemies. Yep. I'm just trying to look at all these cards and see if any of them. After a friendly minion loses Divine Shield, gain +2 attack. That synergizes very well with the secret that gives a minion Divine Shield. Transform all 1-cost cards in your deck into legendary minions. So you could play that with a Murloc deck and do some craziness too. Let's see. This is the Shrink Ray that sets the health and attack of all minions. There must be another card in a different class that sets the attack to 1. This one sets all other minions' attack and health to 3. And I'm trying to find the hero replacement card. Set a minion's health and attack to 10. There you go. And this one equips a 5/3 lifesteal weapon and lets you summon the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. If you have all 4, destroy the enemy hero. No real synergy to that, but that certainly is an interesting idea. Now if I go to all the cards though and look at Annoy as the key phrase, we've got the Annoy module, which is a 4 mana, 2 attack, 4 health mech for Paladin, which is basically just replacing the Annoy-tron, which is a wild card, 2 mana, 1 attack, 2 health mech with Taunt and Divine Shield. So there is a slight difference there. It's 2 mana more for magnetic and 1 extra attack and 2 extra health. So it's probably a better deal than the Annoyatron. But if you're playing a mech deck, you probably would want to be playing in wild anyways, and so that certainly might affect your decisions. So another 10 cards looked at. Again, once we get down to the neutral cards, there might be some more things that make more sense. But generally speaking, a specific Paladin strategy seems to only work on existing strategies. Maybe a little bit of magnetic strategies are getting added. Well, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. When you subscribe, click the notification bell. If you want a friend or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Steam, or Battle.net, or Facebook, all of those links are down below in the description box. And if you want to support me, friend me on Steam and give me a game or a gift card, or send me a Steam game code through Twitter direct message. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.